You're tuning in to Floridian Rollo. I'm your host, Floridian Rollo, and I'm coming at you with another live stream. So we have a particular YouTuber who got the information of what's been going on in Atlanta with the crisis in Atlanta, and we're going to hear what he has to say, what the person has to say that recorded this information, and I'm gonna break it down. Let's go.
Y'all see all these cars? This is just one QT. Every one of these cars got people sleeping in them. It's somewhere in Atlanta. Every one of them got people sleeping in them.
This is how bad it has gotten in America right now. You have a line of cars right now at the gas station, almost like it's a truck station where people are just sleeping in their cars. And for there are many different reasons, right? Like this isn't like a new thing where people are living in their cars, but so many people, we've seen a skyrocket within evictions within America. We've seen a skyrocket within foreclosures of homes within America in 20.
People cannot keep up with the property tax. People cannot keep up with other things, and they are in debt and they have to move into their car for the most part, or they stay in a hotel a day or two or three in a hotel, or they got a gym membership, and people are literally staying by the gas station and sleep at night. Let's continue.
2025, right? Like we have seen a skyrocket of things across the board in terms of the economy. And once again, I'm not about to send this and say, oh, this all just began happening this year. However, this year, somehow it just got even worse than what it was. Now, I'm not about to sit here and point the finger whichever way. I think we all know the change, but it just sucks to see that so many people are going through this right now as we speak. And, people, families, people with kids, people, people elderly are losing their homes right now. People are living it in their cars, whether it's because they lost their job, whether it's because they just can't afford housing prices, right? We know housing and rent costs have gone up as well, right? Like a lot of things across the board is causing so much financial strain.
Doesn't matter the culture, doesn't matter the culture, ethnicity at this point. You're going to hear what she has to say, and all I can tell you is this stuff is real. This is going on in the South. It's going on in America. All right, let's continue.
On people's everyday lives. It is insane, but I tell you, it actually gets worse from here.
Rent prices being over $1,800 a month. I'm homeless and I live here in my car. It's a compact car, and I'm going to give you a tour and show you around and show you how I live in here. So come on, check it out with me. So starting here on the side, you can get a glimpse inside. Right there is my bookshelf, and underneath there is where I keep all my clothing and other belongings. Down here is where I keep all of my laundry, extra shoes, and things like that. Coming around back here, a lot of you asked about the bed. So the bed is a 3-inch memory foam mattress topper. I do have carpeting underneath there as well for extra support. Over here, I like to keep usually like wet wipes. These are a lifesaver. I get these at the $1.25 tree. And I have about 4 layers of blankets. So if it ever gets cold, right now it is summertime, but when it does get cold, I have plenty of blankets. Here is my cooler, which I get a lot of hate. People say I don't deserve the Yeti because I'm homeless and I should sell it, but I'm keeping it, because it keeps the ice cold for days. I absolutely love it. It has been a life changer, and it was a birthday gift for my 30th birthday.
Now, I don't know the percentage, honestly. However, there's a lot of single men that's not with nobody, single women that's with nobody. I will say it's a 45% tick, and with people with families, it's a 25% tick of people living in their vans, cars, and stuff like that. Okay? In America. Let's go.
Last year. Over here, I keep waters. I always try to have an abundance of water because you just never know what's going to happen.
Dildo boy. We were heading over there to sign the lease and pay the first and last month's rent, and we were told it's not happening. We have no idea why. Maybe a blessing in disguise, but nonetheless, I drove 10 hours to get here yesterday. I was really proud of myself for that. You know, if God has a plan, I need to know what the plan is. I'm not gonna lie, I'm running out of faith. I have nowhere to stay tonight. I am completely, utterly homeless. I'm out of money. I didn't even want to say that because I'm 57 years old.
So if you want to go with the age bracket, there's a lot of people in their 20s, 30s. There's an uptick, yet there's people in their 40s and 60s is going through this even more so. You know, the lady says she's 57 and going through this. All right, let's continue.
Should be planning my retirement, should be looking forward to my golden years, and this is it. You can go watch my story. I shared a little bit about it, but basically I'm just homeless.
Wow. So she's 57 years old. And I saw a lot of comments in the comment section saying, oh, she got her nails done or she had a nice ring and whatever. Those was like press on nails and she had a ring, right? Like whatever. Regardless, she's 57 years old. It can't be that expensive, you know, and seems like she moved from across the country. You know, she said she drove 10 hours across the entire country to move to where they at, and apparently the deal fell through. So now she's living in her car. Like, how bad does it need to get? But when I look at this situation, I see inspirational stories like this where this mom is living in her car. She has kids, right? And she's really figuring out within this life.
I live in my car because I left my husband, who makes $12,000 a month. And I left with...
Whoa. She said that she left her husband that was making $12,000 a month. What? I gotta hear why she left him.
Nothing. It's taken me almost 4 weeks, but I have fixed my truck. I have started a new job. I've made 14,000 new friends. I exercise twice a day now. I pray.
14,000 new friends. What? Take the what? Need the what? Hassan Campbell say. 14,000 new friends. I never. No. I don't know about that.
I talk to friends. I'm reconnecting with family. Homeless, yes. Broke, fuck yeah. Killing this shit, bitch, you know we are. And I know I say this a lot, but I'm always gonna say it. I'm going to exhaust it. I don't know what I would do without y'all's love and support. I do know, actually, I would have went back. I would have went back the first hour, the second hour. I wouldn't have been able to do this. Everybody telling me their stories and messaging me. It has made such a huge impact on everything that I do. And I share my story not to get pity, not to get sympathy, but there's a woman who is scared to leave because she's not going to have anything except for the bridge as a roof.
Yeah, and we've seen this story a lot of times, right? Where people leave their situation, and you know, just because it is worse, it is harder to stay than to leave, if that makes sense, right? Like, or the opposite, it is harder to leave than to stay. Look at the other side, right? Like you leave and now you're living in your car. Now you're homeless. Versus if you would have stayed, you would have had a home, a roof over your head. The dude was making $12,000 a month, right? Like plenty money. So it depends on the situation, but we've seen this story countless of times. And the fact that people are living in tents, living in cars, living in hotels, right? Like third world conditions, insane, bad. Now, not the people living in hotels, right? But people who are living in cars, right? Like third world conditions in America today, where right down the street, you'll probably run into somebody, some billionaire who is living lavishly on his rooftop condo within the middle of New York, right? Like this is the reality that so many people are going through today.
Okay, it's day 4 of me living in my Honda Civic, so come spend the morning with me. Okay, rise and shine, guys. Kind of woke up at like 6 a.m. I had to go pee. I'm gonna try to chug this water and just kind of finish it. So
we got the young ones now. We got the young ones now talking. You got the young ones talking. The 20-year-olds. Let's go.
So I'm gonna just put on this t-shirt and stuff and just get something on, and then I'm gonna go to the front and I'm gonna drive to my other spot so I can peacefully get ready. I'll see you guys when I move to my front room. We made it to the front. I'm absolutely cranking the heat because it is freezing cold and it's raining. You guys are gonna be like, why are you in a t-shirt? My hoodies are in my suitcase and I don't want to walk outside to pull out my suitcase and open that, so I'm just gonna blast the heat. My plan is I'm gonna go get a coffee, blast some music on the way there, and then I'll like set up and then just quickly rip through my makeup. But time to blast music. There was no music being played. The Tim's was literally 2 minutes away, so I just drove in utter silence. But yeah, I'm at Tim's. I chose Tim's. It's really cheap. That's what I fucking thought. Oh wow, why is my car actually completely empty? Guess we're filling up after this, guys. Guys, I'm at the gas station. I'm gonna put in literally like $30, I think, because I'm not driving anywhere. So, I'm an idiot. Oh. Also, the perfect thing is that there's literally a Save-On right across the street. So I'm gonna go in the parking lot, get ready, do my makeup, and then get some groceries. And then I'm basically done for the day, except for my call at 1.
Wow. Wow. And then you got this situation going on. Let's listen to this.
We're monitoring a dangerous situation developing in Washington state. At least 6 rivers are hitting major flood stage this morning. That is the most severe level of flooding, and the water is still rising. Officials have warned of catastrophic flooding, ordering evacuations for up to 100,000 people. Many of those evacuations are along the Skagit River's 100-year floodplain. That river.
Ooh, we go from that to this. My goodness.
Is expected to rise at least 6 feet above its previous record. Already, swiftwater teams have been making rescues. One mother took this video inside her home. She told CNN that the water reached 3 feet high in her basement. And on the roads, high water, mud and debris, all blocking traffic and shutting down roads statewide. Washington State Patrol has urged drivers not to try to drive through the high water. They posted this message: you drive a car, not a boat. Let's get right to CDN meteorologist Allison Chinchar for the very latest on this situation, which seems to be getting worse at this point, Allison.
Yeah, and that's typically what happens with river flooding because it's more of a delayed.
The question is, where these people going to go? That's a lot of people. Over 100,000 people have to evacuate. Where these people going to go? Where is they going to get help from?
Effect. You can see the video here next to me. This kind of showing how they are trying to reinforce one of those flood walls that are there, the barrier that is meant to protect the communities around the river. Again, just trying to reinforce it and make sure it holds and does its job as those rivers are expected to rise around this community. But the real question is, okay, but how high are the rivers forecast to actually get in these areas? Well, we take a look at the Skagit River specifically because that is forecast to get up to record levels. The forecast crest 41 feet, more than 41 feet. You can kind of see that peaking right there on that map.
That's crazy. That's crazy, y'all. That's literally crazy.
The previous record level was 37 feet. So we're not just talking a little bit above, you're talking significantly above where even the previous record was met. And flood stage alone begins at just 28 feet. And that's when you start to see some problems where water intrusion starts to happen in some of the surrounding areas. It's not the only one, though. It's one of several. All of these dots here indicating a river gauge that is set to be at either minor, moderate, or major flood stage over the next several days. And keep in mind, some of these are not forecast to crest for several more days because you have to wait for all of that runoff to come down from the rain to eventually flow back into a lot of these rivers, creeks, and streams. Now, it is still raining across much of this area, so that's going to add to it. So it's not just the runoff from the previous days, but we're also adding new rain on top of it for these areas. That's why you have the flood watches in effect around Seattle, Tacoma, and much of the Pacific Northwest, but also downstream. So you also have some of these in effect for portions of Idaho and Montana as that system continues to progress eastward. This is the atmospheric river that we've been talking about here. Again, that large plume of moisture that is just being funneled into the Pacific Northwest over and over and over again. So
Wow. Wow, that's crazy.
it's that constant stream of moisture back to back that's really leading to a lot of these issues, not just the flooding because of the rain itself, but again, that delayed effect. Here's a look at the forecast. Again, notice as we head into the next 48 to 72 hours, it starts to dry up, and that's exactly what these areas need.
But it is very much an ongoing, developing situation. Still nighttime there. When people wake up, I think they're going to need to take some action in some places. As we're reading, highways to Vancouver have been shut down this morning. A lot going on. Allison Chinchar, you're watching it all for us. Thank you very much.
All right. We're going to stop with that. Give me 1 second. For those who tuning in, make sure you double tap the like button on your way in. Double tap the like button on your way in. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Got some more continuation or something. Give me 1 second, y'all. I'm trying to see if I find it. 1 second. Okay, nobody's in the chat. All right, cool. Got a lot of people watching in the playback. In the clouds. Okay, let me do this. Get this situated. Give me 1 second, y'all. Got something I have to do. I got everything ready, y'all. For those who still viewing, appreciate your patience. I found it. Give me 1 second while I set up everything right now. 1 second. Okay. And we got it ready. All right, let's listen to this, y'all. Here we go.
A key part of the American dream is homeownership, but with that comes a responsibility many homeowners dread: property taxes. Some Americans claim their property tax bills are disproportionately high, and a new analysis by ABC's own television station shows that's exactly what's happening to many homeowners in majority non-white neighborhoods. The data shows a nationwide pattern of what's called highballed tax assessments. In tonight's Prime Focus, ABC News investigates how high taxes can also leave homeowners homeless. Here's our senior political correspondent, Rachel Scott.
Did you hear that part? Did you hear that part? Let's continue.
That's where we used to gather, to bring the family together.
For 70-year-old Benita Anderson, this Baltimore house became a safe haven, a place that her 5 children and 8 grandchildren could call their own. But a cancer diagnosis in 2020 changed everything.
When I started feeling better, that's when I got the mail.
Benita was already struggling with mounting bills. Then it was a letter from the city of Baltimore letting her know she owed about $5,000 in back taxes from the last year.
That's what I paid. But they say they applied that to other tax years versus applying it to the year that it was for.
See, what they don't tell you is these hidden taxes. What they don't tell you about is these hidden taxes. They're going to get you on the back end. They don't get you right away. There's a lot of hidden taxes that a lot of people don't know about. And this is very important because, look, at the end of the day, when you start doing what you're supposed to do, all of a sudden, these hidden fees, these hidden taxes, these hidden exempts, they don't give you the whole fine print. It's what I'm saying. This is crazy. This is wild, y'all. Let's go.
By 2022, the city of Baltimore put a lien on Benita's house that was then auctioned off to the highest bidder.
Take me back to that moment when you realized that you would be losing your home.
I sat and I thought, I said, oh my God, I'm 70 years old and I'm homeless.
Benita is one of many across the country who found herself highballed, facing disproportionately high property tax bills and ultimately losing her home at a government sale.
If you can't afford to pay your property taxes and you keep missing your payments, government is going to auction your property off for back taxes.
Wow. You heard what this man said? Listen again, y'all. Listen to what this man say. Pay attention.
And ultimately losing her home at a government sale.
If you can't afford to pay your property taxes and you keep missing your payments, government is going to auction your property off for back taxes.
Wow. So they could literally have someone else move in and they remove all your stuff and sell your stuff off as a payout. This is, my goodness. Oh my goodness. Woo.
Property taxes are based on an assessment, the government's best guess of how much a home is worth.
So there are a lot of variables. If the assessment system is not working the way it is, it could create tremendous distortions from homeowner to homeowner. Somebody living next door to you could be paying proportionately far more than you're paying.
Take Benita's old neighborhood as an example, where 97% of residents are Black.
Oh boy, here we go. Here we go. Now we're going to get to the crux of what this means. 97% Black. Let's continue.
And the typical tax bill is around $3,800. A few miles away in the majority white Baltimore neighborhood of Cross Country, homeowners tend to pay lower taxes, but their homes are actually worth 50% more.
Well, you got to understand, right? This is not going to be a race thing because that's not what I'm doing over here. This is not going to be a race thing. They put more into their home than the blacks put into their home. I believe if you put more into your home, the value of your property tax will go lower. It depends on the homeowner. You gotta make your home more to the eyes of these people to not mess with you, to raise your stuff up. Because your value of your home is low, so they got to get you with the high property tax. Whereas the other county, the property of the home is more, so of course they're going to pay a little bit less. All right, let's continue.
In suburbia, where you have a high level of segregation, the people who are being taxed unfairly based on not accurately capturing the value of their home are people of color.
In Baltimore, where Benita lives, 92% of properties listed at tax sales from 2019 through 2023 were in majority non-white neighborhoods. And an analysis by ABC News and its own station's data journalism team found that this is a nationwide pattern, causing thousands of people in communities like Benita's to lose their homes each year.
Notice what it says, thousands of people losing their homes each year, nationwide. So this is not a northern state versus southern state. This is nationwide. Let's continue.
We found on average, people in those neighborhoods pay disproportionately high property taxes compared to those in majority white neighborhoods, at times even in the same county. It's a story our colleagues heard across the country.
We're like up the creek with nowhere to go, no help, nothing.
Just keep praying and asking the Lord to just keep me afloat.
It's the entire block and entire neighborhood that this is happening to.
Outside Philadelphia, our station WPVI met 91-year-old Gloria Gaynor. She lost her home of 25 years because of an unpaid tax bill totaling $3,500. During COVID, Gloria was unable to pay her tax bills in person, so she fell behind on her 2020 and 2021 property taxes.
My mom, she wouldn't go out. She didn't take any vaccine. She said she wasn't going out. She have a lot of underlying issues.
So, I mean, it's good that they got their moms staying with them. So, their moms, I don't know if it's her moms or her husband's moms. That's good that they got her in their house. That's good. That's good to see. I'm happy to see that. Let's continue to see what they have to say.
When she ultimately made her payments in 2022, the tax office applied them to the current and previous years, leaving an outstanding balance for 2020. Now suffering from dementia, Gloria and her family fought in court to stop the sale, but they lost the lawsuit and their appeal.
Hey, Ma.
A real estate investor bought Gloria's home worth about $250,000 from the county for only $14,000. The cost
$14,000. All they had to pay was $14,000, and they got the majority of the value of what she put in invest. This is crazy.
Of her overdue taxes plus interest and fees. Gloria had already paid off almost all of the mortgage, but she got nothing from the sale. And while this is legal,
She got nothing for the sale. While this is legal, listen.
Attorneys argue it's unfair.
This is stripping generational wealth from the have-nots and allowing the haves to have it.
The Delaware County Tax Claim Bureau told ABC News that while the county sympathizes with the emotional toll on Gloria, the agency followed state law and sent multiple notices ahead of the sale.
Although local governments should do everything they can to keep people in their homes, whether it's an owner or a renter, at some point they have an obligation to all the other taxpayers, the businesses, the families that are paying their fair share to make sure that these taxes are collected.
which is why President Trump said he wants to get rid of all the taxes. You heard him talk about we should get rid of all the taxes as a whole. Get rid of all these taxes, you know. Let's continue, y'all. Let's continue.
What do you love most about living in Baltimore?
That's where my family is.
Benita, now living with her daughter, joined a lawsuit claiming the city of Baltimore broke federal law by selling her house to a private company for pennies on the dollar. The city has defended its actions in court, saying it notified Benita as required, adding the city did not profit from the sale.
This works for the government because it sells the liens promptly, and it works for the tax sale purchasers.
In 2023, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that local governments could not profit from tax sales. Instead, the court ruled that homeowners have a constitutional right to any payments beyond taxes and penalties they owe. Many states across the country have recently changed their laws in light of that Supreme Court decision. Some municipalities even go beyond what the court required, taking extra steps to keep vulnerable homeowners in their homes, like requiring in-person notifications before a sale or offering payment plans to redeem a home after it's been sold.
The federal answer to lower local property taxes is more funding for local services. They need more help from Congress and the White House.
As the Trump administration has slashed the federal budget, local governments will have to make up the difference to provide the same services. Experts say they will likely rely more on property taxes, which in turn could mean more situations like Benita's, where homeowners in majority non-white neighborhoods too often pay more than their fair share.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that part? Let's continue.
You bought that home with dreams of this idea of passing it on generation to generation. What happened to that dream now?
It died. What? I'm sorry. It still makes me emotional. It's just hard, very hard.
A dream deferred for so many. Our thanks to Rachel Scott for that report. Just last week, Benita Anderson's former Baltimore home was put on the market for nearly $540,000, more than 5 times what she actually paid for it. But she will not see any of those proceeds and still has no home of her own.
Wow. Wow, y'all. I am lost for words. I'm telling you, I'm lost for words. Wow. And I talked about this previously in my videos of how they're going to force people out, in particular, out of their homes. And it's starting to happen. It's very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. You know, I'm going to let you listen to what DeSantis have to say. And then we get into this next clip. Let's listen to what DeSantis have to say. Let's get to him. I got to screenshot this because this is going to be my future videos. Okay, I got that situated. All right. Appreciate those who's double tapping the like button on their way in. I want you to hear what DeSantis have to say. All right. Let's get to him real quick. Okay. Let's deal with this. All right. All right, y'all. We're going to get right to it. All right, let's continue.
Lawmakers in Florida just advanced plans to reduce property taxes for homeowners. If things keep moving forward, Voters could see it on the ballot in 2026, in November 2026. With me now is the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. Governor, welcome to the program.
It's good to be here. A little colder than Florida. That's okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. How much would you be able to cut property taxes by? And when you've made the cut, how do you pay for local services?
Well, it's a good question. But first, let's just point out, people are being pinched across the economy in a lot of things. And property taxes, even though, and it's all local in Florida. We don't get any at the state level. We've tripled our rainy day funds up because we cut taxes. We have no income tax. We're doing fine at the state. But the local property taxes are hurting people. 2019 in Florida, the total amount of revenue for local government, $32 billion from property tax. You know what it is now? $56 billion.
That's a lot. 56 billion. That's a lot. That's a whole lot.
That's a massive increase. So people are paying more. So the issue is we're going to focus on Florida homesteaded residents. Now, that's a fraction of that revenue. And honestly, you would still have way more revenue than you had in 2019. We're working through exactly how that's going to work. Of course, we're going to make sure we have fire, police, and all the core things. But the reality is these local governments have overspent, and people are paying more and more for that. And at some point, it's like, when is enough enough? Well, here's what I know.
You've got to get a lot of pushback from the local people.
Taxpayers were getting a lot of support. I mean, like, this is something that people have been asking about. But think about it. Can you have a situation where every 5 or 6 years you're increasing budgets 50, 60%? Now, part of it was we did have a boom with COVID. Everyone was rushing to Florida, caused property values to go up. But how is it that you buy a home for $350,000 and then 4 years later they tell you it's worth $1 million and you got to pay more in property tax? It's not.
That's the point. You get the house for $350,000. Now, a few years later, it's worth $1 million, and you're gonna have to pay for the cover charge. This is crazy, y'all. This is wild. Let's continue.
Not right.
So, I understand, but how much? By how much can you cut property taxes?
Well, our goal,
10%.
Well, no. Our goal is to focus on Florida homesteaded residents and eliminate for them, which is, the majority of our revenue for property tax is non-Florida residents because people have second homes. You have people that buy.
People from non-residents of Florida. Did you hear that? Did you catch that? There's a lot of people that's buying homes that's non-residents. They're not Floridians. And so the Floridians have to pay for the brunt of the property tax when somebody from out of state could get a property, don't have to be a resident, pay its little fair share, and the person that's a resident of Florida has to pay the majority of it. That's just like anywhere. You're going to have to pay for somebody else's situation. Okay? Let's see what he says.
And commercial property. So it ends up being about 30% of the revenue. Now, you may have to phase it in. There's going to be things we're going to do. We're sensitive to all that. I want something that can work, and I want something that can pass. And you need 60% of the voters to pass it.
But if you've got a home and it's homesteaded, you're going to eliminate the property tax on that home?
That's the goal, yeah.
You eliminate it completely?
Exactly.
I've got a homestead. Anyway, that's another story entirely. Let me move on, if I may. You've proposed an AI Bill of Rights in Florida. Spell it out, please. What are you protecting consumers from?
Well, we had a Florida resident, Megan Garcia, speak at our press conference, and her son got into this relationship with an AI chatbot who was sexually grooming her 13-year-old son and then coaxed him into committing suicide. And we're like, what the hell is going on? And so
on the live, the person did the unalive. Okay, let's continue.
What we want is protections for children, for parents. We want transparency. I think it's an issue of people can take your image now in AI, put words in your mouth, and use that in ways that can be harmful to you.
Well, that's true. That's true. People could use AI and make you say things you didn't say. That stuff is going on the internet. That stuff is going on. That's why you can't be believing everything you see and hear. Because people be using AI and harass you and stalk you, all this other stuff. This is true what he's saying. Listen.
To have that. I also think intellectual property and copyright, they shouldn't just be able to take all that. People that create that should be compensated. And then also on these data centers, what we don't want in Florida is the ratepayers to have to put part of the bill on that. And you've seen the rates go up in other parts. So that is totally unacceptable. So I think we're creating protections for ratepayers, protections for taxpayers, protections for local governments to be able to handle this the way they see fit, and protections for parents and families.
Will you make another run for the presidency?
Oh, gosh, I got my hands full, man.
I had to ask. Laying out a policy agenda like that, I have to ask.
Not the first time.
The last one. Republicans in Florida, they're holding talks about redistricting your state. You plan to call a special session in the spring. If you get it, how many seats, extra seats, does that give the GOP in Florida?
Well, that's going to be up to the legislature, but we do have a U.S. Supreme Court has a decision outstanding. That is going to impact our map, and so that's why we really can't do it now. But we have a late primary, so it'll all work out. But here's the thing: we've had massive population changes in Florida just since the last map, and so we're really malapportioned in terms of how the state is done. So there's a justification to do this outside of the political context. It will get done.
You will get a gain for Republicans.
Well, the state, when I got elected, we had 300,000 more registered Democrats. Today, we have 1.4 million more Republicans. Show me another example of when you've seen that type of shift.
No,
so, of course, that's going to be reflected in the underlying elections.
Would you say, did you see the Tennessee election as a warning sign for the GOP?
I do, just in the sense that midterm elections, off-year elections, the party out of power tends to get more energized, right? The party in power, the voters, they tend to get a little bit more complacent. And so you saw that. They had midterm level turnout in that special election. The Republicans had to spend a lot of money. And so, what I would say is, you're in the battle really to protect the Trump presidency, because if the Democrats get control of the Congress, all they're going to do is go after him. And it's like, we want to focus on advancing the ball for the American people. So I do think that they need to get their act together leading into the midterms. I don't think it's too late, but I think the trends so far have shown that the Democrats are energized.
I wanted to welcome you to Mandamis, New York City, even though it is 22 degrees. It was great to have you here, Governor. Thank you very much, sir.
He had to throw shots at Madami. Yeah, because DeSantis was in New York City last week. He was in New York City, so he's going to different Fox News stations and stuff like that, making his rounds. All right, I see Running Up 360s in the building. Somebody says don't buy a house if you can't afford it. It's not the point of if you buy a house you can't afford it. It's the point of people paying high property taxes and hidden fees, and they getting these back payments out of nowhere. Just because you pay off a house or a car, you still got to pay insurance, premiums, hidden fees, certain situations. There's no way getting around it. We spend majority of our life paying bills. That's just the truth. We spend majority of our lives in the society paying bills. That's the truth. So to the person that said that, even if you're renting or you buy a house, you still got to pay off certain things to these people. It's no getting around it. And what's going on, Robert? That's all I got to say about that. I mean, look, we all have to pay certain bills in certain situations, whether you have a family or not. Whether you have a family or not, you have to pay. Majority of your money is going to these bills. There's no lie in that. And so if the governor is saying what he's saying, he wants the people to have more money in their pocket, because he don't want to see a lot of people. Because you got to remember, there was a time in Florida, it was a big homeless epidemic, and it's not as much as it used to be. You get what I'm saying? Now, over the last 2 years, there's been a hot epidemic in Atlanta, and that's specifically Atlanta, Georgia, where there's a lot of people living in their cars, you know? And so all I'm saying is that this stuff is happening. And you got people that paid off their homes. Look what happened to the elderly lady. She's homeless. You get what I'm saying? So all I'm telling you is that there's no getting around this situation, y'all. And that's why most people are leaving America. One of the reasons why people are leaving America is not only because things are too high, it's because if you could be in another country, you still got to pay taxes to America. There's no getting around it. The point is, unless you become a citizen of that other country, the people in other countries, for the most part, they don't have to pay no taxes like we do here. You get what I'm saying? It's like we deal with more responsibility than they do. They don't have that much. They have responsibility, yet we deal with more situations, if that makes sense. You know? Run It Up 360 says that HOA, home insurance, property tax, maintenance separate from mortgage. Bro, that's a whole different political conversation. Because honestly, man, that's a whole different conversation, man. That's a bill on a whole different frequency with HOA fees, man. Ooh-wee. You gotta have a strong, listen, you gotta have a strong dedication to be in that type of field, man. You know? I know it's a lot of HOAs in Tampa, man. You out there in Tampa, you should know that. You out there in Tampa. Tampa has a huge HOA. It's not too much in Orlando, and there's a lot of HOAs in Miami. Yeah, there's a lot of HOAs in Miami. There's not too much HOAs in Jacksonville and stuff like that. You know, for the majority of Orlando's, there's certain parts it is, certain parts it's not. The point is that no matter how you look at it, y'all, that property tax and hidden taxes and insurance policies and all this stuff you got to deal with, man. It's unavailable. It's unavailable. So, hey, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Thank y'all for double tap the like button. And y'all know my birthday's next week, y'all. My B-day's next week. So I'm looking forward to being live that day. That's when you're going to see me on camera. You know what I'm saying? Y'all going to see me on camera on my B-day. Because a lot of people was like, why you not on camera? Because, for one, I'm busy taking care of a lot of stuff. And two, you know, there's times you don't need to be on camera to speak what needs to be spoken of. You know, so I'll be back on camera that day, y'all. You know, Lord's will. So to Run It Up 360, to Robert, to everyone else tuning in the clouds, thank you for participating in the chat. I'll holler at you on the next one. Brown Royalty to the people with the business. If you got any information y'all want me to talk about, and y'all can reach out to me behind the scenes, let me know. Salute to Ringo, salute to Brainwaves, salute to the mods, to the members. I'll holler at you on the next one. Peace.